Hi friends, thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to talk about why so many rentals are moldy. Now before we get started, I have to do a quick disclaimer. This is not medical information. This is not medical advice. This is not intended to cure, diagnose, treat, prevent, or otherwise mitigate any diagnosis or issue. Always consult your doctor. The fact of the matter is that most rentals are moldy. And I can attest to this personally. I cannot tell you how many times we moved because of mold. We also moved a lot of times because of cigarette smoke coming in from neighbors. Let's set that aside though. Back to the mold. Most rentals are moldy, and there are two reasons why they're moldy. One is, or overarching reasons that is. One reason is that the owner doesn't know. There are some property owners out there that are really conscientious. They really care about the health of the clients, of their residents. However, those are very few and far between. So you have those who don't know. They don't know any better. And there's also that aspect of hidden mold where perhaps a mold test is conducted, perhaps erroneously. That's a common occurrence as well. That mold test comes back as nothing to be concerned about. The property owner says, well, human canary, your symptoms must not be due to mold then. It must be due to something else. It's not because the property owner thinks the canary human is making it up. They're using the information that they have. Unfortunately, these tests are not what we are told they are, as is the fact with most medical tests. Assuming the tests are conducted properly, we're talking about like a Hertz me, that sort of test. This only tests for the presence of mold on one particular spot or multiple spots at one particular moment in time. It doesn't test for mycotoxins. It also can address hidden mold, because how are those hidden mold spores going to get out? The mycotoxins can migrate through building materials. I haven't seen anything scientifically to demonstrate this. However, it's very clear anecdotally. Okay, there is ample anecdotal evidence that this is possible and that it happens because so many people get sick in their homes with hidden mold. There doesn't have to be visible mold for someone to get sick from mold. Mycotoxins, as you can imagine, are toxic. They can cause different symptoms in everyone, and they can cause a wide variety of symptoms as well. So you have already established the fact that there are some property owners who do care about the health and well-being of their residents. However, the other category of property owners don't care. Now, my husband this year returned to landscaping, which was his career for a number of years. He had switched to maintenance for a number of years, actually not too many years, but he had switched to maintenance, worked in a lot of different apartments for probably about 10 different companies. I've got to be honest with you here. He really had a hard time. Two places, he got sick from the mold as a maintenance worker. As a maintenance worker, he got sick. The other places, they had mold. They didn't care. They didn't care. It's all about the bottom dollar, especially for the large apartment complexes owned by mega billionaires. Okay, they are not concerned with the health and well-being of their residents. And so there was one place in particular where my husband said, look, underneath the sink is black. Like, we have got to replace this. This is not healthy. This is not good for the resident. And the apartment complex came back to him and said, well, is it falling apart? Well, no, it's not falling apart. Well, is the resident demanding it? Well, no, the resident's not demanding it. Then leave it. This resident was sick. He had cognitive issues, he had heart issues, he had digestive issues because it was the bathroom sink, and my husband kept having to leave the bathroom. So this guy really had significant health issues, some which were likely attributable, at least in part, to mold. This is why it's so difficult to find a good rental, because the property owners who do care, they just don't know. They just don't know. And then the rest of the rentals are owned by property owners who don't care. And whether they know about the danger or not doesn't matter, because unless it's an issue with structural integrity, and sometimes even if it is a concern as far as structural integrity goes, they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. And I can attest to this because my husband struggled so greatly to find a position in the maintenance field with a property management company that actually cared. He couldn't find one. He couldn't find one. And he interviewed with, gosh, I want to say probably 40 or so. The same thing happened to him with mold remediation companies. There were a number of mold remediation companies that he communicated with via email, and there were actually some as well that he went to interviews for, and it was clear they didn't care either. Now, are there some property managers and mold remediation companies out there who do a great job, do their best, and do in fact care? Of course there are. We need more of you. Multiply yourself. Yes, of course there are some that are great, but the fact of the matter is that most aren't. And that's harming human life. It's really harming people. And I hope that more wake up to the fact that this mold issue really is an epidemic issue, because the fact of the matter is that we live in a society, at least here in the United States, where the proper building methods and sometimes materials aren't paid attention to anymore. There doesn't seem to be any pride in craftsmanship. There are building defects in almost every building that you can drive by. Ours has a couple of defects as well, and we're working to work on them. We are working on the drainage. We're actually doing that this weekend. We're completely ripping it out and redoing it ourselves to best practice methods. You can't research everything, and that was one thing that I didn't research. And so we're having to do it ourselves because it failed within 6 months. It wasn't done correctly, not even a little bit. And the other aspect is the siding. Rain screen wasn't put in behind our siding. Our siding was actually installed without our consent. And sorry if you're hearing one of our felines in the background. So even in a home that has been planned for years and that has been carefully monitored and the homeowners are on site nearly every day, there's still problems. And then there's also the maintenance. Maintenance is a problem as well. Maintenance workers really don't know the first thing about mold for the most part. There are some special ones who do, of course. Thank you for you. The fact of the matter is most that don't. This is why it's so hard to find a safe rental. And if you are in the rental market, know that I have prayed for you, because it is really hard to find a safe rental if you're a human canary like I am. Best wishes for a safe place to land. I hope everyone at some point has the blessing of a truly safe home. Everyone deserves a safe home. And that means one that isn't moldy. Now, things will break. Things happen, of course. But for the most part, I just wish you the best luck in finding a safe home if you're struggling to find one, and a safe rental if that's what you're looking for. Many blessings. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it when you share. I appreciate your comments and your likes and your emails. Keep them coming, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much and have a blessed day.